Welcome to Empath Inspiration, where you are honored for your ability to feel so much, so deeply. Each week, you will learn practical information, tools, and insights that empower empaths to live healthy, productive lives. Here's your host, author, intuitive, natural health and holistic nutrition consultant, and the developer of the Foundations Healing System, a revolutionary self-healing method designed specifically for empaths, Dr. Janice Carlin.
Welcome to Empath Inspiration. Today I'm going to be talking about the concept of letting go of what isn't yours. Now we hear people say all of the time, just let it go. But for empaths, it's not quite that simple. You have to first discern what is going on in the first place, where the energy is coming from that you're experiencing. And then you have to make sure that when you do let go of what isn't yours, that you're directing that energy where it belongs in the highest good. This is because empaths are sensitive beings who feel deeply, and it isn't going to help you to feel better if you don't clean up the low vibrational energy that you're feeling. It's like throwing your trash away but never removing it from your house to be disposed of properly. You have to remember not to own the negative sensations you're experiencing as having anything to do with something wrong inside of you. It's when you take ownership of the energies and hold on to them, these energies that are affecting you, that's when you'll find difficulty in being able to let them go. And when I talk about letting go, realize that people have the ability to hold energies within their physical and energetic systems. The energy field around your body can hold energies inside of it as well. And often this holding onto of energies, it's out of our conscious awareness. And I also want you to be aware that some people are more naturally inclined to be able to detox energies than others. People have different types of filters built into their systems. Now, I happen to be one of the ones that it's not so natural for, which is why I've had to discover and to develop so many tools. And it's not that my filter is any less than anyone else's. It just works in its own way, just like everybody else's does. So this is what I mean whenever I say that everyone is different and has unique needs to be able to thrive on Earth. So one important tool to be aware of that you can use to help you with this is to make sure that you're conscious that your energy field isn't collapsing around you. It's easy for sensitive people to want to pull our energy close to us when we're in crowds or situations that feel negative or overwhelming. But there's a problem in doing this. And I realize it sounds somewhat counterintuitive at first, but when you stop to think about how energy works and flows, pulling your energy field close to yourself stops the different waves and particles of energy from moving through and away from you, and it allows them to get stuck really close to you. When you go out into nature in a space where there aren't a lot of people and you feel good and you breathe deeply, your energy field just expands. And it does this because you're relaxed and comfortable and you feel safe. But if you don't intend for it to do so on other occasions, problems will happen for you. So just remember that the energy has to flow through you, and you have to allow for that. Remember I spoke in the first episode about how physicists know that about 95% of the energy that exists cannot be seen with our physical eyes. And they also know that this is just not in outer space that it's true. It's all around us. We're walking right through all of this energy that they call dark energy and dark matter, and it's passing right through us all of the time. Now, they call it that not because it's some kind of spiritually low vibrational dark energy, but because they can't see it, so they call it dark. Okay? Now, it doesn't have to hurt you, and it won't, as long as you're aware of the concept of allowing it to pass through you. You're going to hear me talk a lot in future episodes about the importance of being present and grounded, or having your soul energy in the space where your body is and connected to your body. If you aren't present and grounded, the energies are less able to pass through you because there's a disconnect within your energy systems because you aren't fully there. So there's so much I can say about this, and I'll keep most of it for upcoming episodes so I can stay on topic for today. Now, you don't have to consciously say that you're expanding your energy field all the time, but I want to point this out to you so you can realize that the tool you can use to really help yourself is not to curl up and squeeze into yourself to hide from the energy, because in truth, you cannot hide. Instead, it's to expand and to really be in the space where you are without fear. The energy is just going to pass through. Being fearful that it won't is the same as being fearful all the time of germs. You know, we're all exposed to bacteria and viruses all the time, but we don't always get sick, right? You can't spend your time being fearful of energy. So you have to trust that it's going to move the way that it moves and to let yourself be here in the natural flow of that. Living with fear all the time and pulling your energy close isn't in alignment with the way that energy actually moves and works. You maintain your boundaries, like I was talking about in episode 2. You make it clear that low vibrations are not welcome in your space. You say this, you intend this. And then by doing so, you're allowing them to move away. Now, when they don't move freely, you can use specific tools to clear them. It's really that simple, okay? And this is why it's good and important to get into nature often. To have your energy expanded without bumping into someone else's feels really good, and it's easy to stay clear and grounded, okay? So there's a good reason to get out there. But what happens when the energy gets stuck? It really does get stuck sometimes. I'm giving you some tools for asking for spiritual assistance in clearing energies away today. And we'll get more into personal energy clearing in a later episode, all right? So I'm going to switch gears a little now and talk about emotional energy and then connect this to the concept of letting go. One of the ways that empaths experience energy is through our emotions. Clairsentience involves feeling on multiple levels. It means to clearly feel vibrations in multiple dimensions. Unfortunately, so many empaths' experiences of feeling are misinterpreted, and they end up being diagnosed with emotional or mental health conditions. The key to not get stuck in a situation like this is to remain very aware of what is actually going on and not to judge yourself as having anything wrong with you when you experience a random or intense emotion, even if it becomes stuck and continues for a long time. Emotional pain can come on suddenly to an empath just the same way that physical pain can. It just hits you in what seems like out of the blue. If it's been allowed to continue for a long time, it may be more of a chronic experience for you, like I said, but it doesn't have to be, as long as you have awareness and stay out of judgment of yourself about it. A fellow highly sensitive empath sent me a great question that pertains to all of this. She asked, as sensitive people, we need to know that what we feel is not ours, but there are emotions that we ourselves have that are our own, right? How do we better discern when to send back what we've picked up and when to honor what we feel in that moment? What a great question. And there are a couple of things I want to address about it. First, remember, if you're an empath, then you're highly sensitive. If you cry easily or feel super compassionate towards someone or something else is suffering, this is not a personality flaw. This is an important and worthwhile characteristic. If everyone reacted sensitively to others' suffering, this world would be a different place because suffering would cease to be allowed to exist because no one would be able to function highly because of it. But this isn't what happens in this world. Millions, actually billions, suffer and continue to suffer. And those who feel deeply about this are labeled as having various mental health problems. Please do not judge yourself for crying when you see or feel something that affects you. There's nothing wrong with you for crying. There's nothing wrong with you for feeling. And there's nothing wrong with you for caring so much. Please remember that a really big part of the reason you're on this planet now is because there are so many that are suffering, and this issue needs to be resolved. And so here's how you discern. If you're feeling an emotion and it's from within yourself, then it's related to something you're directly experiencing. If you're sad because you've witnessed or experienced something that's sad or emotional, this is different from when you're in contact with someone and just out of the out of the blue, you feel sadness. That's not your sadness. If you're feeling just fine and then hug someone you know and feel sad, it's their sad stuff you're feeling. You know, empaths don't even have to hug someone. They can just feel it anyway. If you stand close to someone and you feel uncomfortable, upset, ungrounded, tightness in your chest, or pain in your body, anything that doesn't feel good, that's not yours. None of it is yours. The time has got to come when people will learn to take responsibility for their energy and what they're carrying around with them and putting out into the world. There's nothing wrong with you because they aren't doing this yet. And you're walking right into their space that's full of low vibrational energy, and you are feeling it. A simple tool for staying aware of what's going on in the world without having to emotionally suffer while watching the news is to look at the major world headlines online. I've been trying this lately. It's really helping. Then if you want to read about any of the stories, you have the choice. But this is different than sitting and watching the stories as they're told through a news broadcast or discovering them on Facebook by someone who's really already emotionally upset about them and wants everybody to know. So you'll also find it less emotionally effective if you stay away from videos and just read the stories, by the way, too. Anytime you're getting information that has emotion connecting to it from the person that's delivering it, you'll have more to process, more energy to process. Videos have music that's intended to elicit an emotional response, and often interviews with victims who are already emotionally distraught will deeply affect you more than if you just read what the story is about and got the facts. Okay, distance yourself from this, and you'll find one less source of emotional energy to process for yourself, so it'll make your life easier. All right, now if you're watching or hearing about the news and you feel sad or angry because of something awful that's happened, now this could be both your own sadness or anger, fueled by compassion and a sense of justice within you, plus the energy of that terrible event and the people connected to it. So in this case, it's really important to discern, because instead of moving through the emotions with ease and grace, as an empath, you can get stuck in the muck with them because you just haven't discerned that it wasn't yours or all of yours in the first place. So I'm going to give you another tool. You've got to use your awareness at this point. And doing so, you can say something like this to yourself. This is really sad and a travesty. The world is a harsh place sometimes. But even so, I know I'm okay, even though I feel sad or angry about it. So I'm going to breathe and process my own emotions about this. And I let go of anything else attached to or associated with it that isn't mine now. You see, this is how you let go. You just intend to do it, and you don't have to know exactly what you're letting go of, just that it's what isn't serving you in your highest good and doesn't belong to you. And then when you've made the decision to let go, immediately ask your guides and non-incarnated angels to clear it all away to where it belongs in the highest good, in the way of the highest good, now. Okay, so you've taken care of yourself and you've done a spiritual service by having low vibrational energy cleared in the highest good. You've determined that there's trash to take out, and you've made sure it's been disposed of or recycled properly. You're not claiming it, owning it, or holding it within you. Okay, keep in mind that empaths can feel to different extents what's happening in the world without even turning on the television or their computers. So sometimes you just feel the feeling, you kind of sense it's something about the world, and you can do the same process I just told you, where you just say, okay, then this is happening and I'm aware of it. I let go of what isn't mine. I process my own emotions about it, but I let go of what isn't mine and ask for it to be clear on my guides and the non-incarnated angels, where it belongs in the highest good, in the way of the highest good. That's all you have to do. It's very simple. I want to explain that I do not subscribe to the notion of returning energy to sender, as you may hear some people say. The majority of people in this world are just not aware of how energy works, right? So it's up to the rest of us to make sure that we're working in service to the benefit of all by cleaning up this world the best that we can. We have to make sure that the trash isn't piling up all over the place. So a way to do this that's in alignment with the highest good of all is to do what I said and ask for spiritual help in clearing the energy away from you where it belongs in the highest good, in the way of the highest good, so no one else is ever harmed by it. So you're not just giving it, you're not just giving something harmful back to someone. Surely they don't want to feel bad either. They just don't have the awareness. So now you see what you've done. You've used your empathic skills to be of service. A non-empathic person right next to you may have felt nothing, while you felt like you were going to start screaming in grief or anger. That's because you're the one who has to make sure the energy gets cleared away. You don't have to physically or clear it. You have to clear it yourself. You can ask for the spiritual help. But your gift has allowed that space, wherever you are, to be cleared. And this is just helpful to everyone. There's a bigger picture going on that we often don't see because we're so caught up in feeling so much intense energy all the time. But that bigger picture is there nonetheless. Your empathic gifts exist so that you can be of service in the highest good on earth. Remember that. Now, if you live with someone or even an animal and you feel something awful while you're in your house, that's your message to make sure that it gets cleared away. You're protecting your family and yourself from low vibrational toxic energy. You're protecting your space from having that in it so everybody can feel better. This is really important. Because people can't see the multidimensionality of energy unless they're very clairvoyant, and empath skills of clear feeling are essential on this planet right now. There are warnings that low vibrational energy exists. When doctors and psychiatrists become aware of this, the world will change. Because instead of medicating the feelings away till an empath becomes numb, people will realize more clearly that the toxic energies they're creating on this planet really, really hurt. And they cause harm. And they need empaths to let them know the truth of this. Often, you'll be able to feel the energy that your family is experiencing. This can be tough, especially if you're a parent. But remember, part of your job within your family is to take care of them. And it's a blessing to have a skill that allows you to do that. It's always an amazing ride for me with my husband and my son. The more I've learned to listen and to work to discern where my seemingly random pains are coming from, the more I've been able to make sure that I'm serving them in the highest good. Sometimes they really need to be told that it's time for them to attend to their own energy in that moment. This may involve clearing or being careful of what they're about to eat, or directly dealing with something that's going on in their life rather than pushing it under the rug and ignoring it. You can't ignore energy. Empaths know that more than anyone. As long as it's existing, empaths will feel it. And remember, the feelings are the message. So if you feel badly and nothing has actually happened to you, first and foremost, declare that it is not yours. Say, this isn't mine. When you don't decide to own it, you can let it go quickly and easily. Breathe it away and ask for your guides and those non-incarnate angels to clear it. Just say, this isn't mine. And if you feel badly because something has happened, that's very different. And you'll have to spend time resolving that issue for yourself. But there's no reason to analyze every single unpleasant feeling you have, because most of it won't be coming from within yourself anyway. One of the issues with empathic people is that we are naturally compassionate and we want to help people. This is wonderful. But what happens sometimes is that we try to help people who aren't asking for our assistance. And then we get all entangled up in their energy and we get hurt by that. It's a conscious decision we have to make to stay out of someone's space. So just as you would want them to stay out of yours, so you don't have to feel their pain, it's about maintaining those boundaries. And I will get more into this concept in later shows, but I really wanted to bring it up into your awareness today. In my book, Empathic Sensitivity, I share some personal stories. Living as an empath, I have more stories every day. There's just no limit to the stories. And here's a recent personal experience I had. Okay, so it can bring some of this, you can realize that it is practical. So I was sitting and writing on my computer when I suddenly felt a stabbing pain in my throat. It was so much I just yelled out from the pain. My husband was home and he heard me. He was actually upstairs in another room and he said, "Oh no, is it because of my back?" He is so well trained now with the empath stuff. His back had been hurting and he really understands because I've explained to him for so long. He's lived with me for so long. He does understand that. It was awesome that he said that. Anyway, I knew that it wasn't about his back. I looked outside, and the man who's hired by the neighborhood to keep the lakes and ponds clean, and there are a lot where I live, he was parked in front of my house and headed back behind my house to treat the pond that's back past my backyard. Okay, what does that mean? It means chemicals and harm to life. Would it have been productive at all for me to go outside and yell at him about any of that? No, it wouldn't. He was hired by the neighborhood. He worked for a company, and he was just here doing his job. He wasn't the one to have a discussion with about that. He was the bottom of the chain of command, and it really wouldn't have helped either of us for me to get into his space. So I got a hold of myself, and I just cleared it all away from me. If I hadn't, who knows what kind of physical illness or even emotional depression or anxiety I would have ended up with. I mean, it really hurt. But I cleared it, and I was fine. So yuck exists in the world, and it came into my space, and I felt it. That's how it works for all of us as an empath. We just have to use our tools to get that pain away from us and clear it. So if we go into every emotion that we as sensitive people feel, we'd be all over the place and pretty emotionally unstable. If we acknowledge that we pick up on energy vibrations and translate them into something that we feel either emotionally or physically, we can better discern what is going on. So when when an emotion or physical pain or even a negative thought, some of those low vibrations can manifest as negative thoughts within you. And when any of this washes over you, stop and breathe and simply say, "This isn't mine." There's no question. There's no, "Is this mine?" No. That's disempowering and just entangles you further with that energy. Step into your power. Step into your strength. Nothing has happened to you in your situation, and yet you feel something bad. Therefore, it isn't yours. Okay? If you can't clear it, you're trying to clear it. And again, I'll give you more tools, and they're in my book. You can find tools all over the place for clearing energy. But if you can't clear it, but you know it's not yours, it's just still staying there, you can ask if there's a message for you to know. Maybe it's a warning to you. Remember, energy's always communicating. It's either communicating something for you to consciously know, or it's communicating that you need to be aware that you've come into contact on some level with something that's harmful, and you need to take action in some way. And the action can take the form of removing yourself from a certain situation, if that's possible, or just taking a few steps backward to move away from someone or something, or to clear yourself energetically, or to stop and wait before proceeding with what you were going to do. Maybe just a warning, or just give a heads up that something's happening in the world, and to make sure to keep yourself grounded and clear. It could mean so many things, but the point is that when you feel something that doesn't feel good, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have an emotional problem or mental health or physical disease. It doesn't mean that you're crazy or oversensitive. It means that you're feeling something in this world that's low vibrational. And let me remind you, again, there's an extreme amount of that in this current time on earth. Please remember that you are a beautiful and amazing being of light who's living in a world that's frankly full of toxic, harmful energies. And when they come into contact with your own vibration, empath, you're going to feel the dissonance of that clearly. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. Once you have the tools, you can help yourself to feel so much better in your daily life. I'll keep sharing them with you through this podcast. And again, you can find my book, Empathic Sensitivity, through my website and Sacred Stories Publishing, because that's even more information to help you live a healthy, productive life with your amazing gift that you have come to the planet with in order to be of service and in order to help. You don't have to even do anything. It's just there. You're wired for it. Okay? It's just naturally there. You're wired to help because you have a gift of empathic sensitivity. That's how important you are. And your gift is part of what you're bringing to help here. Please remember that. That's really the key. Okay? The pain isn't yours. I look forward. I so look forward. I get very excited about sharing this information with you, to sharing more support and empowering you more the next time. So please send me your questions so I can address them on the air. It gives me the impetus to bring forth more channeled information. Also, if you're asking something that I don't know the answer to. So I love if you'll send your questions. And the address is janice@empoweredthriving.com. So remember, if you're wondering about something, there's a really good chance that other people want to know the answer too. If you're feeling stuck in depressed or stuck in living with anxiety or just lethargy or pain, remember, if you're an empath, you can be pretty sure that there's a way to resolve these without going the traditional path of medicating yourself so you just simply can't feel anymore. Okay, we need you to use your gift here. It's really important, and there's so many tools you can help yourself to be able to thrive here. Okay, and so my website, again, where you can find the link to empathic sensitivity and my other books and my healing system I developed and other resources for you, is empoweredthriving.com. Thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to talking to you again next time.
Thank you for listening today. Please join us next week as Janice answers listener questions and provides more inspiration and practical applications for you to live a healthy, productive life as an empath.